Hey everybody. So I am trying to chase down a bug that's really got it's a good one. It's very difficult to debug and figure out. And last night I thought I had thought of something, or this morning, but then when I checked, nope, that was not the problem. I was thinking that maybe I wasn't publishing the change after I made it, but no, the change is being published. Um, and as with a lot of things, like the first time we were talking about the bug, I was like, okay, I'm going to create a light and add the light, and then I'm going to edit and give the light a name, and then I'm going to change something about the light. And since the animation defaults to X, on display, it just saves a little time to do that. Go over here and go look. Uh, and we see that the current position is changing. So now we come back over here and we just change this to a spotlight, and we come back over here and now it's broken. But it's actually even easier to see because we lost our name as well. So for some reason, this component here is not showing the change. It will show the change. Well, maybe not. Let's just double check to see if that change will show up if I go add light and then edit form and I go light and then I change this to 2 and then I go to my animation and then I go look at my animation, validate that it's still working, that it's all working, come back over here and change its name to lights. And let's see if it just breaks. Nope, so that worked fine. If we change the start position to 5, that works fine. Let's try changing something in the form. Maybe it has something to do with this form below. So let's change the color and come back over here. It's still happy. But when we change this light to a point light, to a spotlight, we come back over here. Now it's broken. So since we know it's not really localized to this, that's actually the entire row is broken. Um, we can kind of work backwards from this component, and it looks like this component is the app animation property component. So the easiest way to do that is now at this point to just do a search for app. As you can see, I did that, and there's two instances. There's where it's implemented, and then where we used it, and then there's where we set it up. And I guess this would be implemented. Um, it's kind of funny because implemented usually means when you use something, or it could also mean when you created it, when you've created it. But anyway, so for some strange reason, this guy here is not getting um, a change. And oh, okay, so this, and I remember when we had to build this. I can't remember why we had to build this, but we created this data match, and we ignored some changes, and I can't really remember exactly why. Maybe I gave a good comment at the time. Let's see. Checking for same length prevents redraw when the user. I don't know why. I don't seriously doubt that was the whole comment. But so it looks like I'm checking in this data match. I'm checking to see if it's changed, and I can't remember exactly why. But but I do remember that we would get all the old IDs, and I bet you we're only getting the IDs of the yes. So we only check the old IDs the um, of the um, of the items, not of the ThreeJS objects. So um, we say that hey, if all the IDs in the 3JS objects are the same as the IDs, but we only change, well, we do change both of them. Um, so I don't know exactly why this isn't working, but it looks like we need to do, it looks like we need to do it for both would be my guess. And I don't really have a solid, like, specific understanding of that, but it looks like our previous data map, there's a point where we get to the point where um, where where the ID has been changed for the item, but has not been changed for the um, 3JS object. And then, so I don't know if this runs at that point, and then the next time around when we fix it, maybe it runs again when we fix it for the 3JS object, but it's still broken. So it seems like the most bulletproof way to fix this would be to add a second set of checks, one for the items and then one for the 3JS objects. That's a bit expensive because you're doing a lot of checks, maybe for no reason, but extra checks. But I think that our system can handle that. I don't think that's going to be that bad. So let's just try that. So I'm going to put old. I want to use the character 3 just to be lazy, but 3 IDs, and then this is definitely one of the kind of ugly spots of the application. We know I'm not super proud of this part of this implementation. I do think that these components are going to be gone, though. There'll be some point where I just rip these components out and put new components in, so I'm not that worried about it. So then I guess what I need to do is so basically this is line 144 is returning if they match. So I think I want to say const match equals this one and return match, and then basically we have the same thing. And then I want to add an additional condition. And I want to do it in a way that's kind of makes sense. It's kind of readable. One day this is just going to annoy me for because I don't really like this, but I'm kind of going with it for the moment just because I can't think of a better way to do it. And to be honest with you, like if I could go back in time, I probably wouldn't have even had the concept of pairs. I probably came up with the concept of pairs because I didn't have a good grip on the fact that we had another set of data that is, I mean, we already have that data that I could have just like listened for on the, so I think that's going to work. I think it will update, it'll redraw the form on that. We already have the data. There was no reason for me to do the mapping. And now I'm maintaining an extra data structure. But that was hard to wrap my head around when they were all in the 3JS service. Now that they're not all in the 3JS service, it's a little easier to understand it. And so, this is a chicken and egg kind of thing. So to me, my guess is that what's happening here is that the it's not catching the fact that there was a ThreeJS change object. All right, so let's see what happens. Add, let's see, test 2, and then show raw data. Oh, already was showing raw data, and then change this. Oh, animate it, validate, back, and change this to a spotlight, back. Oh, so that is not the problem. Let's see. Let's see. Checking for changes. Let's get this guy up here in this console, and then let's go ahead and create a light. Let's edit it, and let's just so all I did was check for changes the one time. Now when I change this to, let's just give it a name since that's the easiest thing. So check for changes every one of those times. So I'm curious if I come back over here. Yeah, so that updated. And then, so I'm going to clear this, and I'm going to change this from a point to a spotlight. And it was checking for changes in these here, and let's see, do they match? ID 15. And the name is that. So, but if I look at the animations, it's broken. And that is weird. So if I go and close this one, change this to a 2. Let's see. Oh, X position, we changed that to a 2. Oh, interesting. So the X position did not. Is the name gone? Oh, we lost our name too. Oh, no, we didn't. There's the name. But the X position, oh, it was because we changed the Y position, not the X. Okay, so that's all good. And we come over here, and it's wrong. Oh, well, we're looking at the X. Let's look at the Y. Yeah, it's wrong. It checked for the changes. There shouldn't have been any changes because, so let me clear this. Let's go to Z position. It's checking for changes. But we didn't get an animation pair. So I'm just going to put the debugger on that one. And then change this back to X. Now let's look at our data. New data. Name is TTT. We don't get a name. That form doesn't matter because that's part of that. It's a light. It is a spotlight. And this is gone. Okay, so why is the template not showing the right thing? That's the big question. So it's showing the data ID. What is that? Okay, that first thing is it's showing a data ID of 13. I do not think that's right. Yeah, see, data ID is supposed to be 15. So it still is looking at some weird data. let's see. Okay, so and that is the get name data ID. Okay, so let's look for that function because it looks like that function gets called over and over and over again. So I'm gonna get rid of this guy and see what happens. Okay. Okay. So it calls get name. So let's go back to our template. See, in our template, it calls get name and it gives it this filtered table data. That's a clue. So filtered data table is wrong. So when does filtered data table get updated? So here is where it's declared. Okay. So it takes table data and it filters it. So let's add another console log. Well, so that's on line 123. So we can, instead of kind of setting up our whole thing again, we'll just debug from there and see what table data has in it. Okay, so table data doesn't get updated, is not being updated. So if I come in here into this light and I make it add a T, okay, so now it's been updated. So this is not what we're looking at here. This is what's happening behind this template right now. So we have table data, and see, table data is still wrong. It's back on 13. Okay, so we know that, let's try to find table, where table data gets set. Well, yeah, table data. Okay, so I'm not seeing where table data gets set in that this code. So let's come over here, go to the definition. So this is where it gets declared. So this is where table data gets set in the constructor right after this effect. So let's come over here. You know, I do remember when we set up, what line was that? When I set this up to begin with, knowing that this was going to end in tears, that this was just going to be, this data match thing was going to just come back to haunt me. All right. So when does this guy get executed? It's only going to get executed if the data doesn't match. So let's see. So it's probably not going to happen now. I'm going to put a 5 in there. Yeah, see, so now we need to figure out, okay, why did this not happen? And then 6. All right. So we're sending in animation pairs. Okay, let's look at our animation pairs. Okay, so let's step in. It'll be a little easier to look at animation pairs over there since it's decoded at this point. So we have our new data. Our new data has like ID 15. So unfortunately we can't see it. Over there it has ID 13 is what it's showing up. Now, we also have our previous data. Our previous data has ID 15 and our 3 so that's all. So the previous data. Okay, so let's look at previous data. And let's look at our item, and it's got the 6 in it. So that doesn't seem right to me. So let's go ahead and put our debug statement there. So let's go ahead and make this a 7. Let's just redo that to be a 7. And we'll look at our previous data. And it's already changed. So somehow our previous data is updating with it. It's not like its own, it hasn't been reset into its own into its own object. Whenever I make a change, it's a reference, not its own version. They're referring to the exact same thing. So let me run this out, run that out. Let's go back, look at the code, and see where we set up previous data. Oh, okay, so this would in fact create it would give it the same references. And since we're updating what we really want is this is a shallow copy. So we're creating a new array, but it's got the same items in it. So we changed the container, but we didn't, but this container has references to the exact same items that the parent, that animation pairs has references to. We haven't broken those. This is a shallow copy, and what we want is a deep copy. And I don't remember, so I think I might be in some kind of weird thing where like I did this on purpose at one point in the past, and now I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to end up in this chain of bugs where I'm just re-implementing or just setting up some other bug that I don't remember from before, which, that happens a lot for individuals. But if you get a team of people, you can get that in a big way where like one developer keeps fixing one bug, which then keeps causing another bug. And then a different developer fixes the other bug, but then they fix it in such a way that it causes the first bug to come back. And then the original developer's like, oh, original fixer's like, what, how does this thing keep getting broken? And you can get yourself, especially if it's like I make bug A, and to fix bug A, I create bug B, and then developer 2 fixes bug B, and then does something to create bug C, and then somebody fixes bug C, and that what they do creates bug A, and you can end up with like this chain of bugs that happens. So I don't know if I purposely made shallow copies of this array, but if you don't know what it is, it'd probably be easiest for me to explain it with by using ChatGPT. So let's see, it's not working. Okay, in JS, what is a shallow copy of an array? Okay, so shallow copy of array it contains references to the same elements of the original array. This means that if the elements of the original array are objects or other arrays, the shallow copy will contain references to the same objects array, not copies of them. Primitive types numbers are copied by value. So that's exactly what's happening here. I am making changes, and then I'm checking to see if they're different, but I made changes to the same actual objects. So the two arrays are still in sync because I made that. So these are different ways of creating a shallow copy. And then this is in contrast to a deep copy where they're nested objects in arrays. So how do you do a deep copy? this has been changing over time, and if you're working on an older version of Angular, it may not let you do what we're trying to. Okay, so I think this is probably what I want to do. I know this is a bit expensive. Um, there's another one, recursive, and then I don't have Lodash. So this is probably what I want to do in here. So that's the dev tools. So that would not be the place to do it. And let's just copy this. Let's comment that just so we have a view of it. And then basically, so this is our original array. And this is what we want to do with it. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to turn it into a string. It's going to be a big long string, and then it's going to turn it back into an array, and that will cause a deep copy. Actually, this won't work. And the reason this won't work is because I don't think you can actually, the ThreeJS objects, well, maybe it will. I think the ThreeJS objects have references back, circular references, so we may not be able to do this. I hope it works. If it doesn't, we'll have to take another stab at this tomorrow. This truly is, if you can master what I'm talking about, if you understand what I'm talking about and you can master it, and it's not easy, you will really be a much more effective developer. And it took me forever to get even any kind of grip on this. So at this point, it may just puke. No, it didn't. Okay. Oh, wait. No, I don't think. I may have made I don't know if it already made a copy. So we're animated. Are we animated? Did I not animate? I don't think I animated. Oh, I did animate it. Oh, so animation's completely broken. Oh, yeah, it's completely broken now. Yes, that did not work. We probably have something in the console error. Yeah, so it's upset because I have, and it may not, actually it's the forms. That's right, I remember that. The forms are the problem. So, man, this is a bummer. So I'm going to have to spend some time removing the forms. Anyways, that was going to be on this round anyways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that task up. I'm going to put this back, and we're just going to know we have a bug. I'm going to remove the forms, and I believe once I remove the forms, I'll be able to do this deeper copy. For these animation pairs. I'm kind of surprised I haven't run into this problem with animating. And maybe we've had this problem for a long time, you know, like, let's see, add mesh, form, animate, make this a 2, and then change it to a sphere. Yeah, see, I don't understand. I should have had this. It seems like I should have the same problem for the meshes, since they're animated and they are moving. I mean, they're animated, and you know, it should have changed it in both places. Let me real quick. I know this video is probably insanely long. Yeah, it's almost 30 minutes. Let's look at the mesh service. Wrong one. Mesh service. id push. So here's where I change the shapes of the geometry, and then oh, type. That's because I could. So I created a new mesh. I have my new mesh ID. Do a shallow copy here. Okay, so this is for add mesh. So now let's look at the ThreeJS service. So here's where I mesh list signal set. Pair animation server set animation pair. So this is basically the same thing. Okay, let me go over here. Okay, so set animation pairs, and I create the item. I give it the item and the object, and then I update the animation pairs. So yeah, I don't understand why this doesn't cause the same issue. Why this one's different. Yeah, so I think I have to call Uncle on this one, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to kind of go heads down and just do a deep dive and figure this one out off camera. Don't exactly know what's going on. Anyways, so that next video will probably be more of a rundown of what I ended up doing to figure it out and what the problem was, as opposed to me figuring it out on camera. It's just a totally different. Like, I don't have to do English and stuff like that. When I can do that, I can just go straight down into the mentally down into the code and figure things out. But that's weird. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.